Okay, so I'm back with another Pauper deck tech. Today we're looking at a blue-red control/combo deck based around a card from Strixhaven called Serpentine Curve. So Serpentine Curve, it's 4 mana for a sorcery, 3 colorless, 1 blue. It says create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, then put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 1 plus the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. So essentially this creates a giant fractal token whose power and toughness is based on the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard and in exile. So the point of this deck is that it's a blue-red control deck with tons of instants and sorceries, and it wants to fill up its graveyard with tons of instants and sorceries, and then cast Serpentine Curve to create a gigantic token, and then smash the opponent's face with that. So this deck has not been around for that long, but it has sometimes put in some decent results at tournaments. So this list was played online by a player called Vox. Shout out to him. So I'll quickly go through some of the card choices here. So we are a blue-red deck, of course, playing 21 lands. So for a bit of color fixing, we have Barrens, which is quite a nice little land, kind of an alternative to Evolving Wilds. So Barrens taps for 1 colorless mana, and it also has basic land cycling for 1 generic. So you can pay 1 mana of any type, discard Barrens, search your library for a basic land card, and put it into your hand. So quite nice for looking for the land that you want. And of course we have 2 copies of the classic Evolving Wilds. Now, this deck also has a bit of a snow theme going on, so we're running a whole bunch of snow-covered islands and some snow-covered mountains. And then, of course, from Coldheim, we're using Volatile Fjord, which is the blue-red snow jewel. What's quite nice about these jewels is, well, 1, they're snow, and 2, they have the actual island and mountain basic land type. So the reason we're running snow is that this is a Skred deck. So our main removal spell is Skred. It's 1 red for an instant. Skred deals damage to target creature equal to the number of snow permanents you control. So this can often deal 4 or 5 damage for 1 to a creature. So a very, very valuable and powerful removal spell. Okay, so we play just tons of card draw, a bit of counter, a bit of removal. Your standard blue-red fare. Okay, so first up we have 4 copies of Brainstorm, one of the best card draw spells in Pauper and Legacy. It's 1 blue for an instant, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. We're also running 2 copies of Dispel. It's 1 blue for an instant, counter target instant spell. So this is nice at countering counterspells or removal spells to keep our fractal token alive. We have 1 copy of Faithless Looting, 1 red for a sorcery, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and it has a flashback cost of 3. We're also playing Maximize Velocity, 1 red for a sorcery, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn, and it has Jumpstart, kind of like flashback. So you can cast this from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs. So this is cool for giving our fractal token haste and filling up our graveyard. Okay, then just yet another one of the best blue draw spells in Pauper. It's Preordain, 1 blue for a sorcery, scry 2, then draw a card. Okay, and then as yet another way to fill up our graveyard, we're playing 2 copies of Thought Scour, 1 blue for an instant. Target player mills the top 2 cards of their library, draw a card. We're also running 4 copies of Counterspell, just a very good card. We have 1 copy of Fling. It's 2 mana for an instant, 1 generic, 1 red. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature. Fling deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. So obviously this has synergy with our fractal. We're only playing 1 copy, but it can be quite nice as a last-ditch effort to just fling that last bit of damage to your opponent's face. Okay, then we're also playing Frantinc Inventory. It's kind of similar to the card Accumulated Knowledge. It's 2 mana for an instant, 1 generic, 1 blue. Draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Frantinc Inventory in your graveyard. So just more synergy with filling up the graveyard. For a bit of crowd control, we have 1 copy of Fiery Cannonade, one of the better board wipes in the format. 3 mana for an instant, 2 generic, 1 red. deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. Okay, then we're also playing Pieces of the Puzzle. This is a sorcery, costs 3 mana, 2 generic, 1 blue. It says reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from among them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. So this has got a lot of synergy with Serpentine Curve. It's also just a very decent card. So you get 2 instants and or sorceries, which is very cool, and the rest go to your graveyard, which is obviously feeding into our whole strategy. And then, as I said, we're playing Skred and 4 copies of Lightning Bolt as our removal. So that's the deck. It's a very fun deck with a lot of potential. One of the cooler new decks that's emerged from Pauper in recent weeks, what with the new sets bringing in some pretty interesting cards. If you have suggestions for how this deck could be improved, or you have a slightly different version of this idea that you've built, please let me know in the comments. And once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.